Gennady Golovkin is one of the greatest middleweights, in my opinion, of all time. I think he rivals, at least of my lifetime, he definitely rivals Marvin Hagler, who I didn't get to see much of when I became a boxing fan. Just caught the tail ending of his career, but of course was definitely schooled on his career, and like I said, I watched a lot of his fights, understanding the situations that he was going through at the time. It's sort of similar to Golovkin, but I think Golovkin had a harder road. Being a foreigner, obviously, that plays a political factor outside the ring, right? There's always this push to promote, American fighters, Latin American fighters over a foreigner, especially from that part of the world who hasn't been able to compete at the professional level because of political reasons until the 1990s. So you can see where there's this bias towards a foreign fighter like Golovkin. I'm not excusing it, I'm just telling you it is what it is. So Golovkin was stripped of his IBF belt, his IBF title. I guess failing to commit to fighting his number one contender, Derevianchenko. Something to that effect. I really haven't read any articles, just checked out videos and from people that I follow. So I won't, try to break down the details. Just give you my point of view, my opinion of what I think is going through Golovkin's brain, right? 36 years old, has made middleweight history, right? He's either at least tied, at the very least tied, the record for most middleweight defenses with Bernard Hopkins, if you count the no contest. If you don't count the no contest, then that makes him the all-time defense leader, right, of title defenses. And many boxing fans, many analysts that claim to be fair and unbiased, and maybe they are, I have no idea, I'm not in their head, have tried to undermine Golovkin's legacy, the legitimacy of him being the man at middleweight. But anytime I think to myself, when you think of who's the man at middleweight, who do you come up with, right? You come up with Golovkin, like Hagler, right? In the 80s. You thought of Marvin Hagler as the man. Marvin Hagler had more willing participants. Maybe that had to do with the politics. Where Golovkin, there's always been this, and not saying that he didn't fight good opponents, because I definitely think he has. I think people just, like I said, they try to undermine Golovkin's legitimacy as an all-time great middleweight. And that's fair, that's fine, because some people did that to Hagler as well. From what I remember, I was pretty young back then. Right, when Hagler retired, I must have been about 13 or 14 years old. So, but I have a pretty decent memory back then of people not thinking he's an all-time great, or thought that he might have been overhyped. But the media, the media didn't talk that way, or they definitely didn't undermine his legitimacy as the man at middleweight, right? Magazines like Ring Magazine, right? There was never no issue there, like there is with Golovkin, with BoxRec, and all these, all these ranking systems that they have. So I think that Golovkin is in a situation where Marvin Hagler was at the ending of his career, towards the ending of his career. Right? When he fought John the Beast Mugabe, he defended all his belts. He had the IBF, WBA, and WBC. By the time it came to step in the ring with Sugar Ray Leonard after like a year layoff, Hagler was stripped of 2 of his belts, left him with the WBC. So obviously he made a choice. I think that he needed a break from the Mugabe fight. You can see that Hagler started to slip just a little bit. Maybe even before that, but definitely the Mugabe fight looked like it took something out of him. And maybe he needed some time off. I think it was a year and a couple of months before he fought Sugar Ray Leonard. Was his last fight with Mugabe. But it left him with 1 belt when he had 3 belts. The same belts that Golovkin has or had, the very same belts that made Marvin Hagler undisputed. I think that I think Triple G is in that state of mind where, trying to fight for these legacy undisputed when you don't have that many willing participants, only when it benefits them, like Billy Joe Saunders, is not a number 1 priority for him. It's not a number 1 priority for Golovkin anymore. He's 36 years old. Maybe he doesn't plan to fight too much longer, and is looking now to rack up the paydays with fights like Canelo and other fights, right? Maybe that Japanese kid, Murata, who has a huge following in his country, and the potentials of a big money fight, especially over there, it's probably on the table for the aging legend. So that's my take on it. I think Golovkin is looking at it as a business from here on out.